Okay, we're going to be going through a workout of punches and front kicks from the three basic stances. The first stances that you learn: horse stance, bow stance, and cat stance. In between those sets, we'll do some mobility exercises to help free our shoulders up from our body. So that, by that I mean when we're using our arms, especially for when we're punching, we don't want it to affect the rest of the body more than it needs to. We want to be keeping the rest of the body connected correctly and have the punch be connected through the body and everything be connected correctly at the moment of impact so that we can release the maximum amount of power rather than leaking through whichever part of the body is trying to compensate for that movement. So, first striking and kicking is from a horse stance. So go ahead and come into the horse stance. Rotate the hips out open and sink down into the middle. As if your whole torso, we're just sinking straight inside. Hips rotate out. Pull the hands into a chambered position. So now we're pulling the shoulder blades down the back, connecting them onto the back. So they're rotating out and our hips are rotating out. Spine is straight, neck is long, chin is tucked in. We're not pushing our butt out. We're sitting straight down, hips rotating out, shoulder blades rotating out and down. Don't let your ribs be flared forward. This is what I'm talking about, compensation. We want to keep this all in flat. And sink. Okay, first punch, we're going to extend one hand. We're just going to do 30 punches back and forth, but do not let your body change position. So as you punch, don't let the ribs flare forward, don't lean forward. We're trying to stay in the hips, over the hips. You turn the hips, that turns the body, and this is really as much as the body is going to turn. I'm not leaning forward, I'm not leaning back with these punches, I'm just sitting straight into my hips. I turn the hips, and the punch comes out. Keep the shoulder blades down, just like in this position. You keep those shoulder blades connected down the back as we strike directly into the midline of our body. Pulling one hand in as we push the other hand out. 30 punches. Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Shake that out. For the kicks, we're going to be in horse stance. Come over one side, front kick. Step back into horse stance, sink in the middle. Come up on the other side and kick. So sink into a full horse stance between each kick. Let's do 20 kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, hold, 18, 18, hold, 19, hold, and 20. Shake that out. Okay, just come onto one knee. This will help us keep our body still. Spine straight, neck elongated, chin tucked into the throat. We're going to place one hand, palm touching the upper back. The other hand comes back of the hand, touching the mid-back. So these are called infinities. Do not flare the ribs forward. Keep the back straight, keep the neck straight. Arms come out, and you switch. If your body has to start changing to get deeper into it, just don't allow the body to change. Just smoothly flow between these, finding your range of motion through the shoulder. Priority, you can keep everything tight through the core to make sure your body doesn't move, to compensate for this movement. So we're trying to loosen up the shoulders here, find what their range of motion is, and maybe start building awareness in this area so that ultimately we can find new space, more openness through the shoulders. Let's do 5 more. Last 3, let's do very slowly. Okay. Shake that out. Next main stance, bow stance. So bring your right foot forward. Back foot is about 45 degrees out. Back leg is straight. Sometimes I see people with a bent in. So from the side, maybe it would look like this. Do not let this happen. You need this back leg to be straight between the hip, knee, foot. And you need it to be all pointing in the same direction as the toes. If my toes are pointing out and my knee is caved in, I'm twisting through the knee. So you need to have the hip open enough to have the knee in that same plane as the toes are pointing, rather than twisting it in. So the hip has to be open enough to do that. And then you open through this front hip flexor, sink down into the front foot, and we're going to chamber the right hand, put the left hand out straight. So again, don't round the chest forward, pushing out your lower ribs. Keep the back straight. Turning from the hips, we're going to do a block punch. And then you pull back. Block punch, not letting the ribs flare out, not letting the shoulder come up by the ear. As you send it out, the torso just turns with the hips and the shoulder stays flat. You try to keep the shoulder blade down rather than letting it roll up. Keep it plugged into the body. Okay, 10 punches from this bow stance. Again, think turn from the hips first, pull the front hand in and up as you punch the other hand out. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep the torso straight. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. Hold your bow stance. Think about your back leg. Open through the hip to where the knee is pointing in the same plane as the foot. Begin to bend into the front leg. Chamber the hand. Front ribs tuck in. Torso straight, chin pulled in, so the back of the neck is long. Let's do a couple slow. From the hips, open, punch, shoulder stays down. Shoulder doesn't roll up, stays plugged down into the body, and we come back. Turn from the hips. Pull this top hand, like you were starting an engine that had one of those cables, and you pull back, punch the other hand out. You stay smooth and fluid and light until the moment of impact, and then tense everything from the fist to the ground. So that moment of impact is where everything tightens up. There should be a full body connection there. If you're not really getting that, just hold the fist out like an I Chin Ching. Create tension, isometric tension from the fist through the forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, torso, and down into the legs to build that connection. You want to be able to turn that on in an instant and turn it right back off. Here we go. 10 punches from bow stance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check that out. Okay, back to right foot. We're going to touch the knee down, come up, front kick, step back, bow stance, touch the knee down in a lunge, come up, front kick, bow stance, touch in a lunge, kick. 10 on each side. Here we go. 1, touch the knee. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Other side. Bow stance. Arms up to block. Lunge. Touch the knee. Front kick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shake it out. Okay? Grab a strap or a belt or a short stick if you have one. And keeping the torso, you come down kneeling again, keeping the torso flat rather than pushing the ribs out. Just drop the strap, bring your hand to where it was behind your hand and drop the strap behind you. And then reach up behind and grab the strap with the other hand. So we're going to go for 3 breaths. You're going to pull with the top hand to pull the back hand up the back. And then you can reposition your hands. And then the bottom hand pulls down to try to pull more space in through this top arm. And we're going to do that back and forth twice for 3 breaths each. And again, don't let the ribs flare out. That's the most important thing. Keep the core engaged. Keep all of this connected. So, drop the strap behind your back. First one will be 3 slow breaths, pulling with the top hand up so that you pull your bottom hand higher. Keep the neck straight chin in. Inhale, pull. All right, now we pull with the bottom hand. Inhale, 3 breaths. Okay, pull with the top hand. Inhale, up. As hard as you can. And then down. And release. So this is I Chin Ching, number 20, in the Shaolin-Do I Chin Chings. So ultimately you're trying to get where you can touch your fingers together and pull just by using your fingers up and down. Other side. Just bring the hand behind you just like we did before. Stay tight through the core. Do not move the upper body at all. We're only moving through the arms. Using isometric tension to pull up as the bottom hand resists. But we pull up and then use the bottom hand to pull down and resist with the top arm. Inhale, pull up. Inhale, pull down. Pull up. And down for 3 breaths. And release. Okay, final punch and kick step is from a cat stance. So let's be on our right leg, left foot forward. So last time in the bow stance, we punched with the front arm. This time we're going to punch with the back arm. Again, so now from a cat stance, we're only on one leg. But do not let your torso move. It's basically just turning. Everything else about the torso stays straight and connected. Let's just do one slow first. Turn through the hips. As you turn through the hips, try not to let your knee cave in. Again, taking it offline. You're trying to turn from the hips, but leave the leg that you're bracing on stable. So it's like you're sitting on a countertop, swiveling, but the counter doesn't move. Turning from the hips, keeping stable through the ground. Knee pointed in the same direction as the toes. Backhand chamber, front hand is going to block, backhand punches. 10 punches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. Cat stance. Stay here for a second. Feel yourself sink down the leg. Knees pointed in the same way as the toe. Swivel your hips. Feel that motion. Try not to keep the knee connected to the... So if you're keeping the hip tight, as you swivel through the hips, it's going to turn the knee with you. You don't want to do that. The knee needs to stay over the toes. You're turning the hip above that, opening from the groin, from the claw. Front hand is extended, backhand chamber. Just do one slowly, turn, backhand punches, shoulder stays down and connected connected shoulder blade down the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Back onto the right foot. For these, we're going to pulse down in our cat stance. Don't necessarily bend over, just pulse down, push up, and kick. So the kick should feel like it comes from pushing into the ground. I pulse down, and I push into the ground, and that pushes up from the foot and out the other foot into the kick. 10 front kicks. Pulse down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember, as you sink down, don't let your butt stick out. Keep the torso sinking in the hips as if the torso is just riding on an elevator. Block, hands in blocking position. Pulse down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shake that out. All right, you can close out with a few more of these infinities. A good way to do these without moving your body is to come into a squat position and try these from there. This basically sets your torso up to where it can't move, or it's very obvious if it does. So then you just try these back and forth as a cool down and to continue your shoulder mobility. Thank you.